Yeah, we don't go through country. We go around and hit number 11, and then we're going. That'll be west all the time. Yeah.
So about how far is it from Kirkstone?
Oh.
I just started recording.
2 hours maybe.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that where? Okay, that's where the Summer Beach is.
He lives in Jamesport, and then Gallatin is
So is he close to I-35?
honey, I don't know. Ask Jacob. We go there so much, but you know.
It's okay to sing from down here, ain't it? What's up? It's okay to sing from down here. Maybe just in the middle a little bit, but yeah, over here. Yeah, be totally fine. I was a little nervous this morning when I was sitting up on that wagon. I didn't get a mic. He's making me back seat. I didn't know. Yeah. Hey, Dan.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the final event on the final day of the 2013 Old Freshers Reunion right here in Mount Pleasant. Have you folks enjoyed the day so far? You see, this is the kind of day I had ordered for all 5 days, and they must have got my order mixed up someplace because it was really hot earlier. But this is always a great way to end the Old Freshers Reunion with our Don Carlson Memorial Horse Pull. It's always on Labor Day here at Old Freshers. We're going to get the horses in and lined up in front of the grandstand. As I said, folks, this is our Don Carlson Memorial Horse Pull. We do want to thank the sponsors of the Horse Pull. That's Sullivan Auctioneers. They have sponsored the Horse Pull this year. We're very thankful for that. And this is to introduce you to our announcer, Mr. Jeff Hoyer. And he will be taking you, sort of guiding you through what's happening with our Horse Pull and kind of show you what you need to do and should do and shouldn't do as an audience here at our Horse Pull. So now, without further ado, I'm going to put you in the capable hands of Mr. Paul Bishop, Governor of Sperry, Iowa. Please rise and gentlemen, remove your hats and Hall of Fame, our national anthem.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Well, thank you very much. As we said, this is the final event of the 2013 Old Threshers Reunion here in Mount Pleasant, Iowa. It's very happy to be able to welcome you here to the Don Carlson Memorial Horse Pull. And please give a nice round of applause to Mr. Jeff Hoyer, our announcer.
I got this one. Thank you, Lennis. Pleasure to be back here this afternoon. Good afternoon to all you folks over there in the grandstand. We've got some of the best, as this is an invitational horse pull. So these fellas have been invited here because of their horsemanship and their ability to pull and put on a good show. We hope we get that accomplished here this afternoon. They did pass out a lot of those white sheets. They do have the pulling order on them. I'm going to run down through it real quick. There is one change clear down at the bottom. Then we'll get started right in with the horse pull. And Rusty, you can, he went out, but he's going to be the first one. Rusty Harris, his team is going to weigh 3,200. We don't have any changes here at the top part of the scorecard here. Erlen Crooksley also at 3,200. Ray Smith, 3,500, right on down the line. Joe Miller, 3,500. David White, 3,550. J.W. Harris, the same at 3,550. Followed by Clay Robinson at 3,600. Dan Gray at 3,700. Gary Moss at 3,800. Here's where we're going to make a switch. Cody Gray will go in 10th place, and that team weighs 4,150. So if you got a pen or pencil, you want to keep a little score track here. Change Cody Gray and Ryan Smith. Change their order. Cody at 4,150, and Ryan will be the heavy team here at 4,200. That his weight did not change. Just the one weight change and that flip-flop in the polling order. That's all the changes I have for you. I've got a little information on the pullers. Most of them have been here before. Some of their information changes a lot of times. More times than not, I'm going to say the team will change for sure sometimes. Rusty Harris, you're going to be the first man in. And I'll kind of give you the rules as we go along. And I suppose there's quite a few people that have been to this horse pull or a horse pull before, but there's always a good amount of people that have never been to a horse pull. So you're in for a real treat here today. And as we get down through here, I will give you some of the rules and the distances and things like that. We are using that stone sled down there, and it is what we call an overload pull. So Rusty Harris going to back up there and get hooked on. And Rusty's not having any trouble. So right there, you can let him hear it there. One thing, and if you've been here before, you'll probably get tired of hearing me say so, but the pullers have all told me they really do appreciate that while they're hooked to the sled, actually hooking and hooked to the sled and make that pull, if you can keep that applause until you hear the whistle. Until you hear the whistle, because these horses, some of these have been in a lot of pulls, and believe it or not, when they hear a round of applause from the crowd, they think they're done and they'll stop. And you may short somebody by a foot or two or maybe an inch or two, and you'll see later it'll come down to the inches. So as they pull, if we can keep real quiet, the pullers are going to appreciate it and we'll get along just fine. That's Erlen Cooksley from Buffalo, Missouri. Erlen Cooksley. His team is Tom and Duke. That team weighs 3,200. You'll see him add a few blocks on there. What they start out with first, the first go-round, I'll call it, is the exact weight of the team. So they just pulled 3,200 pounds. The sled, if you will, weighs 3,000 empty. So they're racked up the sled blocks on there. We're calling them 50 pounds each. Kind of round everything off to the nearest 50. And as we get into the higher, heavier weight teams, they'll just keep adding blocks. So every team this first go-round is going to pull its own weight. It'll pull its own weight. Here we go with Ray Smith. Ray is out of Clark, Missouri. He'll hook on. We'll just keep going to the east this first time around. And that chain and that little, all the way. Yep. There's a chain there and a little horseshoe with a stand on it. That is 18 feet. And that is also the distance between the yellow ropes. They're a little bit hard to see. But in between each one of those cement blocks is a yellow rope. That is what we call out of bounds. And the horses or the sled cannot cross over the yellow rope, or they're considered out of bounds. So pulling 18 feet, now we're here pretty well to the east end of the track they've marked off. So Joe Miller's coming in with his team. He's going to hook and go the other direction.
Cool.
Joe is from Clark, Missouri. That's plenty of a distance there. Joe's out of Clark, Missouri, and he may be one to watch. There's a couple others here. What's that? I'm going to put on one block to account for the 50-pound difference in weight. Joe was the winner here last year, so he's kind of got a bullseye on his back. Some guys are kind of trying to take that first place away from him this year if they can. David White bringing his team in. David is out of Sturgeon, Missouri. David has been up here quite a few times in the past. All right. Kind of got his trademark bib overalls, green cap, and a green t-shirt. I've never seen him in anything else. Well, that looks pretty nice there, David. He held him there until he got him just right. He was talking to Bud just a little bit. That's Bud and Bill. Bud is on the right, and Bill is on the left, and those guys will kind of want to make sure both of them work together. Without the team working together, they're not going to get very much accomplished. The other thing is they like to keep real quiet. You'll see when those guys that are helping them hook the double tree up to the sled. They try not to, for lack of a better word, clunk it or make a noise when they drop it into that hook. Again, when they hear the clunk, they think they're ready to go and they may take off, whether they're hooked up or not. This is J.W. Harris out of Kirksville. J.W.'s been up here several times before. That's Jake and Cody. Now you can let him hear Jake and Cody covering that 18 feet plus some. They're going to switch the chain, go the other direction. And just keep adding weight for the difference. We're up to Clay Robinson. Clay is from Grove Spring, Missouri. That team weighs 3,600. Clay's bringing his team in, King and Prince. Going to come back to the east. And you hear the whistle, King and Prince getting the job done. You notice when they put that double tree in there, you didn't even hear it make a noise, and that's kind of the way they want them. Get them to stand there just right, drop it in, give them just a second to get situated and settled, and kind of ease things into it. Some poles, they get a little bit more rambunctious than others. You might notice on the front, right behind the driver's seat, there's a little cup. It has a tennis ball in it. A little green tennis ball. If they hit the end of them tugs a little hard or tighten up a little bit too much, too rambunctious, that tennis ball will bounce out of there. That pole is disqualified. What they're trying to do is just put on a nice, controlled and organized pole, and that's what you're going to see here today. Dan Gray right there out of Villisca, Iowa, with a 3,700-pound team. Dan Gray. Next in is Gary Moss. He's from Atlanta, Missouri. Gary is making his debut appearance here at Midwest Old Threshers. This is his first time here. I've kind of been hanging around the horse barn a little bit. I've heard nothing but good things about Gary and his team, and I think he's going to put on a good show. Bob and Barney. Bob is on the right. Barney is on the left. They're a real nice team. Work well together. 3,800-pound team working our way to the heaviest team. They are both 7 years old. So Gary Moss out of Atlanta, Missouri. First time here. Let's keep it real quiet while he hooks on and pulls. Had to make one little minor adjustment, but you'll see there that he just eased them horses right into it. They took off real nice. They tell me that sometimes at some horse bulls, he doesn't even use any help to hook. He'll just bring them up here and they'll stand so still. He can hook the double tree himself, but when he uses a little bit of help here this afternoon, just to kind of make things a little bit easier on him, I guess. There are some ushers scattered around. We do always pass the bucket through the crowd. And those ushers are kind of ready for you to do that. If you want to come on our side of the track, we'll hand you the buckets and then you can make your way up and down the aisles with those buckets. This is Cody Gray. He's going to be the youngest gentleman in this competition today. He is all of 18 years old. So we're 18 years old, and I didn't get all the ages, but I imagine we're in that pushing close to 80 or a little above. So Cody, he's also from Villisca. Just keep real quiet as he hooks Jack and Sam. And they cover 18 feet. Team at 41.50, that was where we made a little adjustment. In your score sheet, if you did not, put him at 41.50. Here's your heavy team, Ryan Smith. Ryan is out of Clark, Missouri. And that team weighs 4,200. So as we've gone through this first go-round, sled weighed 3,000. We put on 1,200 pounds total. And overload the pole, so they're starting here with just what the team weighs, and they just weighed them here a couple hours ago. After they get on the ground, yet today they get weighed. That's what we use. They're ready to go. 18 feet plus a little, quite a little. So that's the first go around. Everybody has successfully got through that. Now we're going to add 1,000 pounds. Yep, don't do anything. So the first team of Rusties weighed 3,200. The last team just weighed 4,200. So we've already got the 1,000 pounds extra on there. We're ready for Ranger and Ace. And they're not having any trouble yet. Ranger and Ace. As these weights get a little heavier, you'll see here, probably the next go-round will make quite a little difference for most of them. Earl and Cooksley out of Buffalo, Missouri. That team weighs the same, so they leave the blocks alone. You'll also notice on all of these horses, if you've been around here over the grounds, practically all the horses are wearing shoes, but these are wearing a kind of a special shoe, a pulling shoe. Has a deep cleat on it for extra traction in the dirt. That's a special pulling shoe, and I think every one of them will have it on here today. Here we go with Earl and Cooksley in the second go-round. There you go. They're at 1,000 pounds. They're not just going to walk away with it like they did the first time. So Tom and Duke, that team of Erlands, they're a 7 and a 6-year-old. These guys, some of these guys have owned their team for quite a while, but it kind of seems like the trend is they keep trading around a little bit, horse trading, if you will, to get a horse they think is going to do a little bit better job or work a little better with maybe a horse they have at home already. So they mix them up once in a while to come up with Ray Smith. This is Charlie and Dick. And you heard the whistle, and then you can let them hear your applause as they get along through this next one. Charlie and Dick, they're 7 and 10-year-old. Those horses are full brothers. Don't see that a lot of times. Maybe half brothers. That team right there is full brothers, the same mother and daddy. Joe Miller, last year's winner. This is Pete and Prince. These could be some of the older horses here Pete, he's on the right. He is 17. And Prince on the left is 16. He's had him for 8 years, so he's hung on to this team for a reason. Let's keep real quiet while Joe hooks on. And they cover it. I've got Teresa Gray on my right. She is the official scorekeeper. Is that right? Official? Sure. She says whatever you want to call me. David White. He's from Sturgeon, Missouri. Bud and Bill walk right out there, a 4 and a 6-year-old of David's. A 4 and a 6-year-old. They're going to pretty well get to that east end, so they'll move the chain, move the ball. We'll get ready for J.W. Harris. His wife Judy's over here on stage. They've been married for 58 years. Is that right, Judy?
Yeah.
58 years. Congratulations. That's quite a milestone. Here in a couple of years, you'll really have a big one.
Yeah.
They've been up to Old Thrashers 22 years, so they kind of know their way around here a little bit. Pretty familiar face. Always a pleasure to talk to J.W. and his wife. Getting along just fine. Son Rusty helping him there, and another fellow, I'm not sure. He's from Kirksville, Missouri.
Gary Mom's the last one in the round. No.
No, Ryan Smith.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we need
Yeah,
one
Ryan.
block.
How many blocks? One block. Ryan.
Again. Clay Robinson out of Grove Spring.
You're fine. Don't worry about it.
Clay's coming in. He's been here at the Old Thrashers Invitational Horse Bowl for 16 years. He finished 8th place last year. He's probably the farthest away from home. He's about 350 miles away from home down there in Grove Spring. Clay's going to hook going towards the west. And you hear the whistle there for Clay Robinson. Rusty Harris helping him hook, and Anna Huffaker right there. I kind of let Anna get off the hook here for a couple of years, but she might be one of the only gals helping hook. So that would make her one of the best hookers here today. Whoa! I'll see if Anna will talk to me after this is over or not. I told her that a year or two ago, and she talked to me the other day, so maybe she forgot about it. Ready for Dan Gray. Here we go, Ben and Duke. We're ready to go. You can kind of see the, I don't know if you want to call them hookers or not, but the guys helping hitch. Their job is pretty important. If they miss, they may only have one good chance, but you might see them if they miss that hook. Sometimes them horses go, ready or not. But a couple of good guys helping there come in handy, and their job is pretty important. Now we're ready for Gary Moss, our new guy, if you will, up here at Mount Pleasant. They're 7-year-olds. There you go, Gary, doing a nice job. Some of these guys have been in this pulling business for 25, 30, 35 years, but actually this is Gary's first year with big horses. He said when he was younger, he pulled ponies. That's how a lot of these guys started out, pulling ponies, but this is kind of his first year doing this, the real thing. Cody Gray, our young man from Alaska. Just 18 years old. Alaska's about 200 miles away. This is Jack and Sam. They're a 5 and an 11-year-old. He's been at this business about 4 years, he tells me. 4 years with the big horses. He was 4th place finisher last year up here at this pull, so it's something to be reckoned with. There you go. Good job, Cody. Jack and Sam. 1 block. Brings us to the heavy team. Some people may think, well, that heaviest team, they're probably going to be the winners. They could be the winners, but it's not near always happens that way. It's just kind of whoever may have the most time to work and exercise their horses and spend the time. If you just had a team that you left out in the pasture and you got them out once or twice a year, you're probably not going to be a contender in this horse bowl. These guys have to work with these horses, some of them every day, on a sled or a wall or something like that. Here's Ryan Smith. And he gets the whistle. He got plenty of distance on there. That's Carlson. Carlson is the horse on the right. Doc is the horse on the left. And everybody's always heard the old phrase, it takes a big horse to weigh a ton. Well, the Carlson horse on the right weighs 2,220 pounds is what he went across the scale today. A full ton plus some, 2,220. Okay. Rusty's bringing his team in, Ranger and Ace, 11 and a 12-year-old. We did add 1,000 pounds throughout that go-round. That's what they're going to leave on there. So now we're 2,000 pounds over the weight of the team. So this will be 5,200. 5,200 pounds. Now they're repositioning a few of them blocks. Some poles, depending on the design and depending on the dirt and the track conditions and what have you, you may see weights a lot higher than you're going to see here today. You're still going to see an awful good horse bowl, but they do sometimes with a little different sled, a little different dirt, get up into that maybe 12, 14,000 pound range. Probably not going to get that high today, probably in that 7,000 or 8,000 pound possibly. We'll have to wait and see. That's all yet to be determined. He's going to hook on the west end, go back to the west. 18 feet again is the distance they're pulling. 18 feet is the distance between the out-of-bounds posts. Some poles go a little longer, some go a little less. There you can see Ranger and Ace work well together. They just pulled that stake over 18 feet. There wasn't much more there. So it's going to get a little tough. This is when it's all the more important to keep as quiet as you possibly can. I know the urge to clap and cheer and applaud is there, and we like the enthusiasm, but wait till you hear that whistle, and then you can let them hear it. Erlen Cooksley, Tom and Duke, he's on this team for 3 years. He's been up here to Old Threshers 5 times. He was kind of down at the bottom. Somebody's got to be there. He was 11th place last year. So So looking to better that mark. Erlen out of Buffalo, Missouri. That horse taking a look at that sled. Sure. We're going to get a ruling here. First time around was 17.5. Second time around actually moved the stake. It did not fall over, but it tightened the chain and moved the horseshoe. So they're going to give it an 18 feet. Erlen, you pulled it 18 feet. That 1,000 pounds it'll make some difference. You did a real good job of staying quiet there. That's the ones we need to be quiet on. Right to the end, and that may be the first time or maybe the second time I've ever seen that chain tightened up and moved the horseshoe, but it didn't fall over and give him it. But that's 18 feet. That's all that counts. So get a little bit tough here. Ray Smith, Charlie and Dick, full brothers, a 7 and a 10-year-old. A lot of these guys get around the state fair. This team right here was first place at the Nebraska State Fair. First place at Nebraska State Fair, second at the Missouri and the Iowa State Fair. So Ray having a good summer. Let's keep real quiet. I looked away, but I see one lost their footing a little bit. It's always a little hard not to ooh and awe when they do that. Very seldom does it hurt a thing. They just get back on their feet and away they go. But he got along real good that time for having one slip. That's where those deep cleats come in handy. But as you can see, this track is pretty well dried out. It's had a little bit of traffic here the last week, so she's a little hard. Here's Joe Miller. And Joe covers 18 feet. Joe's got 5 first place finishes this year and a couple of seconds and a couple of thirds with this team. So he's intending on being a little tough here today. As I said before, all these guys, they may not, the big thing may not be to win it. They just like to see their horses work well together and do what they're supposed to do, and they go home happy whether they win or not. But this is one of the bigger polls. Is definitely one of the bigger crowds they pull in front of. So they're going to do what they can to put on a good show for you, and we'll have a good time here. A little bit different style of action here today than what's been going on this stage in the evenings. Here's David White with Bud and Bill. There you go, David White. Getting a little face full of dirt there. Covering the 18 feet, that little noise you heard, all that was a rock underneath the sled. Wasn't David moaning and groaning or anything like that. It was just a little rock under there. J.W. Harris. He works these horses just about every day. He thought maybe his best finish was back in the 90s sometime with second place finish. And last year he was kind of the low man on the totem pole, but always looking to improve. At 11 teams here for you today. We had one team was unable to be here. Normally there's 12. One man was unable to make it. So 11 teams here for your enjoyment this afternoon. And JW, that's Jake and Cody. They're both 14 years old. So there's some of the older horses in the contest today. They're 14-year-olds. Nice looking horses they are. Some of these guys, JW got here the first day of the reunion. He's been here since Thursday. Some of them just arrived here this morning. About half of them this morning, and half of them have been here for several days. Clay Robinson. His wife, Ruth, he told me a year or so ago, they started dating in junior high school. And they're still together after 52 years. So he must have picked out the right one right off the bat. I don't know how you know what you're doing when you're in junior high school. I didn't, but I still don't. Anna, did you hear what I said about you? Oh, you did. I shouldn't have said it over the loudspeaker then, should I? Here's Clay. And Clay gets the whistle. King and Prince, a 10 and an 8-year-old, covering the distance. Here's Dan Gray, 3,700-pound team. He's a third-generation horse puller. I believe he was at the Iowa, the Missouri, and the Nebraska State Fair. And he got third place in every one of those contests. So someone to be reckoned with here. He arrived here this morning. He's been married to his wife, Teresa, right here on my right, helping me keep score or doing the scorekeeping for 32 years. So congratulations to those folks, too. That's quite a milestone. Danny Gray, Villisca, Iowa. Well, he rattled them a little bit, but the tennis ball's still there, so no disqualification, just rattled them blocks just a little bit. Gary Moss, bring in Bob and Barney. His first appearance at Old Threshers. Him and his wife, Jody, own the Boone County, Missouri draft horse and mule sale. They have 2 sales a year. They've got one coming up. That sale lasts 4 days, he said. So they sell a lot of horses and mules down there in Boone County, Missouri. Bob and Barney. Each 7 years old. Here we go, Gary. There, he got them together. He wasn't quite together for about the first 6, 7, 8 feet, and then they finally got to working together. You'll also notice on that double tree that hook. That hook doesn't have very much hook to it, and that just makes it easier to drop in there and a lot easier to get out when they want to get that. All they got to do is just have a little bit of slack and they'll be able to get that hook. If it had a big curve to it, it'd be a little bit more difficult to get out of there. Ready for Cody Gray. 4,150 pounds, a good-sized team there. He's had 2 first-place finishes with his team this year, so Cody's kind of showing these older fellas what's going on. He's getting a lot of dust in his face. Jack and Sam covered 18 feet without too much trouble at all. Ready for Ryan. 1. Yeah. 1 block real quick.
Yeah, right. You gotta be quick when you round hill.
Ryan doing a good job. He's been married. He's probably one of them. Well, outside of. Okay. All right. Won't put any blocks on then. It won't take any off either. If we were going to go up 500, we'd have to take off 10 blocks. But we're going to add 1,000 for this go-round. So they're 3,000 over what the team weighs. So we leave the blocks alone. Ready for Rusty. Everybody has passed through that last go-round. 1,000 additional pounds will make quite a difference, but we got to eliminate them one way or the other. So getting all the more important to keep real still as they hook, and until you hear that whistle blow, and then you can let them hear it. This is Rusty Harris. Works down there in Adair County, Missouri. $3'9" for Rusty. 3'9". Now, haven't really explained what takes place after this. They have 3 attempts. If they don't get the horses together the first time, they can come back, regroup, talk to them a little bit. They can have 3 attempts to cover the 18 feet, or they can pass the second attempt and just kind of save the horses, if you will, and they call it spotting the sled. That's exactly what he's doing. He's going to spot the sled, and all he's doing is changing direction. Sometimes we'll bring in a tractor and we'll move it to one spot or the other on the track. I don't see much difference in this track from one end to the other or one side to the other. So he's elected to spot the sled. So let's keep real still for Rusty as he makes this attempt. We'll see if he can get her the 18 feet or better than 3'9".
Yeah, the black one. He's new and he hasn't been going a whole lot.
Now you can let him hear it. Rusty Harris out of Brooksville, Missouri. 9'8", 9'8". Now, although that is not 18 feet, that still may come into play, depending on how the rest of the guys do in this go-round. And as I look at my sheet here, Rusty maybe only had that team out to about 5 or 6 pulls, and that's where, it's just conditioning and experience. And when these guys got full-time jobs, it makes it a little hard to do that as often as some of the retired guys. So that could have something to do with it. Now we're looking at Cooksley, going to pick up right where he left off. Erlen Cooksley, that was his second attempt. That first one was 10 inches. How many feet? 7. 7 feet 1 inch on that second attempt. He's going to... There you go, ladies and gentlemen, Erlen Cooksley. I don't believe
it picked up
hurt
at the end on the
anyway.
end, and then when he stood up, it fell back in.
Okay, all right. They didn't quite get the distance on that second pole, but Dan, and he's exactly right, it was quite a bit less than the 7 foot 1 inch. So that will be the mark that stands 7-1. It's the longest out of the 3 attempts. And that last one was considerably shorter, probably there in about that 1.5 mark, something like that. So Erlen Cooksley not going to pass through to the next go round. You can kind of see when, if they don't get together at all,
6 inches was the third.
they're going to have a real
7 foot
difficult
1 is the
time.
one they're going to count.
Okay, thank you.
Right here at the end, the one was ready to go and just kind of pulled that sled a little bit out from underneath his feet, dumped him off on the ground, but I believe he's fine. And we're going to move on to Ray Smith with Charlie and Dick. And they covered it. Charlie and Dick, a 7 and a 10-year-old. Nice job, Ray, out of Clark, Missouri. His father got him started in this horse pulling business. He's going to be a tough contender. Moving on, here's Joe Miller, Pete and Prince. Real quiet. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. He's got, did he lose one? They've got a shoe in their hand down there. He's lost a shoe. I'm not sure what the result of that will be, whether he'll over 3,000 over the weight of the team. J.W. Harris, he's been at this about 31 years. He may be one of our veterans. We've had him out to about 23 pulls this year, Jake and Cody. These horses are 14 years old, each one of them. Let's keep real still. And he gets the distance covered. 18 feet, the old horseshoe falls over. One block goes on. Doing a nice job through here. Alrighty. Clay Robinson, King and Prince. 8th place finisher last year. He arrived here on Tuesday, ahead of the reunion, out of Grove Spring, Missouri. Owned this team, owned the King horse for 7 years. The horse on the left, Prince, for 6 years. He's only been out to about 3 or 4 pulls this year, but he's been at it 17 years. He's going to go towards the west, looking into the sun. Okay. Look at that. Okay. That first attempt was 5'7", and then that second deal in there, they had Dan Winstrom down there calling it a bump. Didn't really move the sled at all, and that second one was 6 inches then. And I don't know. He's not going to come back for the third, it looks like. Oh, yeah. It's up to him, I guess. But he would have one more attempt. I think he's just going to wave it out, right? Okay, so Clay Robinson. That's all he's going to do here today. So 5'7" will be the distance on him out of Grove Springs, Missouri. Getting tough. This extra 1,000 pounds for some of these teams. We got Dan Gray with Ben and Duke. And the hook right where Clay left it. So let's keep real quiet again. Did a nice job that time. And the stake falls over. 3,700-pound team. Yeah. Just covering 6,700 pounds that time. Ready for Gary Moss. They're going to be hosting a poll for cystic fibrosis down there, so in Atlanta, Missouri. So anybody kind of down in that area, or anybody wants to go down and watch that poll or take a team down, they'd be glad to have you. Atlanta, Missouri is at about 160 miles away. A pair of 7-year-olds. Again, been pulling horses for 1 year, owned this team for 1 year. First time at Old Thrashers. They just kind of come in here nice and quiet. So as Bob and Barney weighing out here at 3,800. Swing them around here. Talk to them just a little bit. Get them positioned, hooked onto that sled. We'll stay real quiet. For Gary. I believe he says he's had enough. 3'11" was the distance of that first one. Never could quite get them together there. And these guys will, rather than these horses kind of get in their mind after they get stuck a time or two that they're not ever going to be able to do it. So you'll see a lot of these guys, they will just pass out, quit, flag out, or whatever you want to call it, out of the contest in lieu of kind of spoiling the horse a little bit. So he's had enough. So Gary Moss getting his first taste of the horse bowl up here. Cody Gray. Cody Gray. Keep real quiet as Cody they got them together. And Jack and Sam got a good job together. His mother was getting just a little nervous up there. If you notice, yeah, he's got it on there. He's got a little bit of a kind of a soft cast or brace on his arm. He broke his arm 5 weeks ago, and he's just still healing up. Kind of that jerking around there. They kind of got the reins underneath the hook of the sled a little bit. Once they got things untangled, he didn't have much trouble. Ryan Smith. Ryan Smith out of Park, Missouri. We're going to let them go one more time towards the west for Carlson and Doc, both 8 years old. And they covered the distance without too much trouble. Without too much trouble. So we're going to go up. Dan Winstrom down there, he is the director of the horse area, has made the decision to add 500 pounds this time. So they're going to take 4 blocks off. And we're ready for Ray Smith with Charlie and Dick. So there'll be 3,500 over the weight of the team. We've got 7 men, 7 teams left in this contest. So let's keep real quiet. Going to get a little tough here for Ray. That was a close one. Charlie and Dick working well, working extremely well together. And they got 18 feet, but not a whole lot more. Here we go. We got Joe Miller. Joe Miller, remember, beating Prince, last year's winner up here. Let's keep real still as Pete and Prince. Hey, they're getting the job done. Pete and Prince. Hey, Joe, there's a lady up in the stands. Her name is Renee Davis, and she is the #1 fan of Pete and Prince. Did you know they sent her a birthday card last year? Renee, are you up there? Oh, there she is, dead center, right in the middle. Probably the only person to receive a birthday card from a pulling team. And she framed it and put it on the wall. That's the story I got anyway. David White. David White's bringing in Bud and Bill. Owned this team for less than a year. So they're still on the get-to-know-you basis. Let's keep it real quiet as David hooks on. All right, 1 foot 4 inches. 1 foot 4 for David that first time. He's going to take it right there. Let's keep real quiet.
Yeah,
Shoe back on, Joe.
That's supposed to be a secret about the birthday card.
we don't keep secrets around here.
Get up! Get up! Get up!
You done, David? Oh, he lost his shoe too. I'll be darned. He He's lost his shoe off too. I believe he's going to call it good for this afternoon. If you would, give David White a big round of applause. All the way up here from Sturgeon, Missouri, Bud and Bill. 2'1" if you're keeping score. 2'1" was his second deal. This track must be a little tough. That's 2 shoes thrown here this afternoon, and I'm not sure.
I got mine back on.
You got yours back on.
It's like a race car.
Just pit stop. Just a little pit stop. Splice and go, kind of.
Frames come together.
Yep.
Right back.
Joe's ready to go again. He told me over there in the horse barn he shoes about 500 horses a year. So he ought to be one of the quicker ones around to do it. So he's back in business. J.W. Harris with Jake and Cody, he's kind of looking things over. He knows it's tough out here this afternoon. He might be contemplating.
Joe's shoe and then David's shoe both lost right there.
Okay, he's going to make one shot at it, and he's just going to change directions. This is Jake and Cody. JW been around for 31 years, so he kind of knows what he's doing. He realizes he's another one. He don't like to stick them horses any more than he has to, so let's keep it real quiet. As JW hooks on, he's going one shot towards the west.
How long you been married? 58 years. You should have tried it the first time.
JW, you don't know it, but you're kind of getting cussed out up here. Judy's not sure. She's kind of questioning your decision right there, but I'll let you guys hash that out later on. How much, Dan? 5'3".
But that's math.
Somebody asked her, he said, how long you been married? 58 years, she said. My God.
That men don't ever listen to you anyway.
She says men don't ever listen to you anyway. You could be right in some cases.
Right, ladies?
That's right. That's right. Well, we'll talk about this later. So, here we are. We're ready for Dan.
Oh, I bet.
It'll be a quiet night in the camper tonight, I'll bet you. You should have tried it the first time going the other direction. Now look what you did. You only got 5'3". Well, that's
You
okay.
should have tried it and spotted the sled.
Yep. Let's keep real quiet. Here you are. Dan Gray out of Alaska. That team weighs 3,700. That'd be 70. What?
That's 3 shoes now.
Is that right?
Yep, that's.
Well, let's go down the record book. He said he may have lost a shoe too.
Yeah, he did.
He did.
Well, I'll be darned. I don't know what's different.
I must not have very good horses.
Joe, did you shoe any of these horses? Is that what's the problem here?
China-made nails.
Yeah.
Joe's saying no, he didn't have
No,
nothing
he didn't
to do
have
with it.
nothing to do with that. That probably wouldn't be a good idea to let your competitor shoe your horses. Maybe use short nails or rusty nails. I'm not sure.
China-made nails.
Should be. Ready for Cody. All of 18 years old. Got a little tangled up here that last time, but I'm guessing that probably won't happen this time. Let's keep real quiet as he hooks on Jack and Sam. 14-3. Yeah, okay. 14-3. There, Cody, 14 foot, 3 inches. We're going to have a little conversation here as what to do. Even though he didn't cover 18 feet, that's a pretty good distance. That could bring him right up towards the top at 14-3 for young Cody. Get a little advice here. Looks like we're going to go right back at it. So keep real extra quiet as he hooks and pulls. Yeah, now you can let him hear it. You didn't hear the whistle, but he's off the sled anyway. 8'2". Did he? Okay. He's passing that third attempt. He's going to be satisfied with 14-3. Give that young man a big old Thrashers send away. Doing an excellent job. 18 years old. We're going to see more of him down the road, I'm sure. 14-3. That's a pretty good mark. Ready for Ryan. When we get done, get the winner decided here, why I'll run down these places. They do also award one of the men a horsemanship award. We'll let you know who that is just as soon as he tells me. Ready for Ryan Smith. He's just been married to his wife 9 years, coming up this December. Carlson and Doc, 4,200-pound team. Let's keep extra quiet. Now you can let him hear it. He pulled over the horseshoe. So we're going to add 500 pounds. So we're going to take 4 off. Teresa says 4 off. And we have
He made the fall and they stepped over.
okay. Okay. 4 teams left. 4 teams left. They added 500 pounds, 4,000 pounds over. So 7,500 will be Ray's attempt here with Charlie and Dick. 7,500 pounds total weight
That's not very much weight.
for Charlie and Dick, that team of Full brothers. Ray is a school bus driver for the Sturgeon, Missouri school district down there. That's what he does, occupy his time, and when he's not doing that, I'm sure he's working his horses. By the way, they're performing today, so let's keep real quiet for Ray as he hooks on. You can let him hear it now. We'll get a distance. Wasn't 18 feet. It's 11 foot 7 inches, Ray. 11 foot 7. You need the tractor? We need that tractor. That's the first time we've used it, and I haven't mentioned that's also brought to us here by Precision Equipment with several locations here in southeast Iowa. Bringing in that pullback tractor, and he's got a spot picked out on the track. where he would like that tractor also. I haven't mentioned sponsor of the horse pull here. We got a banner up here that's Sullivan Auctioneers over in Hamilton, Illinois. I happen to know all those guys pretty well. I work for them guys. Sullivan Auctioneers, Jim Huff and myself are kind of the Iowa reps in this area. Busy auction season, and we're glad to be a part of the horse pull here in Mount Pleasant County. We have a person's shoe up here. We got the heel off of that. I tell you, this track is, you can't even walk across here without throwing a shoe. Must be the dust or the dirt. So Ray is going to bring that tractor down. He wants that tractor to bring that sled down pretty well to the east end. Come here with that thing. Kind of also see how it's cutting in. Now look at that tractor. It's starting to spin a little bit. That ought to tell you just how tough this is. David, I think, was the one that told me these rails on the bottom of that sled are just a little wider than normal. And it's just in the dirt here, it's just a tough pulling track. So we're at 4,000 over the weight of the team. 11'7" on that first pull. We'll see if we can better that mark, or better yet, get that horseshoe to fall over. So Ray Smith, all the way from Carlson, Missouri. Let's keep real still. Charlie lost his footing there a little bit. Charlie lost his footing a little bit. 15 foot. So he did better that mark a little bit. 15 foot, and we'll see. That 18 feet may not happen this go around. We'll find out. Here's Joe Miller, all the way from Carlson, Missouri. Rince and Pete. Actually, Pete's on the right. Let's keep really quiet. He got her pulled over. He got her pulled over 18 feet. They're having a good afternoon. 4 blocks. We got Dan Gray and Ryan Smith yet to come. This kind of could be the deciding round. 3rd generation horse puller. Dan's a farmer down there, about 600 acres. Pretty dry in his neighborhood, just like it is in quite a bit of the Midwest, I believe. At least the southern half of Iowa and a lot of Missouri, a good portion of Illinois. And the last week of weather, so a little bit of a strain on people and crops. We're ready for Dan. His wife Teresa up here, 32 years keeping score. It's kind of a complicated score sheet. I don't even really bother to look at it because I can't figure it out anyway. But I understand what she does, but I couldn't do it. One man's crossed, 2 left to go. We'll run down the first place finishers, 1st through 12, or 11, 1st through 11. This is Ben and Duke. I got here in my notes, he's only owned the Duke horse for 3 weeks. So they're still getting to know one another. Ben and Duke. Let's keep real quiet. He's going to go to the west. That's going to be awfully close.
18, 17.
14-1. 14 foot, 1 inch. So 14 for Dan. He's going to take a little walk around there and decide what he's going to do. Walk around a little bit. As I said, he's got 2 more tries if he wants to use them all. I haven't mentioned yet that this little gizmo over here on the stage, I never thought it would come to that. Horse pulling and old thrashers and steam engine and everything's hundreds of years old. But this thing's being broadcast live over the entire world over Ustream. So everybody, you could be in another country watching this horse pull. I never imagined anything like that would happen. So if you're sitting a little closer to somebody than you should be, you might want to put a little distance between you and that person. And they always say, never put anything out there on Facebook or take a picture of it, because somebody eventually is going to see it. So, yeah, you can watch it anytime you want to. Right? Yeah, it's on there for quite a while after the reunion's over. So if you want to go home and watch this over again, you can. Looks like Dan is going to bring in that tractor again from Precision Equipment. Dan Winstrom down there, he's the man in the cowboy hat and the brown shirt. He calls the shots here anyway at the horse pull. He is the director of the horse area. I know when you walk around the grounds, why, there's a lot of tractors, there's a lot of things to look at, steam engines, tractors, working crafts and things, but one of the things that really makes people stop and look is the horse demonstrations, thresh machines and hay baling and whatever else they're all doing. It just kind of gets everybody's attention. I really appreciate watching those horse demonstrations. Dan's kind of got something to do with a little bit of all that, as well as this horse pull, as we mentioned, Don Carlson Memorial. Don Carlson was a staple here for many, many years over in the horse area. Good friend to everybody, good guy. We lost him a few years ago. They named the Liberty Horse Pull after Don. He's going to bring that, he's hooking that short or something. I'm not sure what he's got in mind. Now, here we go. Sometimes they'll put that at a little bit of an angle and then kind of start off to the side and give a little side downhill advantage, if you will. We're going to see where Dan wants to take it. 14 foot 1 inch. Right there. 14 foot 1 inch, the first mark. He'd sure like to cover 18 feet. Ben and Duke. Where did we go off? There they are. Getting through this in pretty good time. It's just about 5:30. Everybody's going to get home in good shape. So far, while that spot tractor gets out of the way, how are you enjoying the horse pull so far? Pretty good entertainment. Can't beat the price. Glad to see you all here. How many people, just wave your hand, are here for very first horse pull you've ever been to? Wow, we get about that many every year. I don't know where we keep getting these people at, but they keep showing up. It is a lot of good entertainment. Something you may not see in your hometown, may not see in your home state. So right here at Old Thrashers, you always see a good one. Here we go. Dan Gray, keep real quiet if you will. That's going to be awfully close. Give Dan Gray from Villisca, Iowa, that team Ben and Duke, nice round of applause. That pole, he did better his mark. That pole is 17 foot 1 inch. 17-1. So we do get down. I think this pole has been won by just a matter of 1 or 2 inches before. So he's here at 17-1. Just 11 inches shy of knocking over that stake. We got to have 10 blocks on it, Dan. Ryan, you probably would have kind of liked it if we'd have maybe forgotten those 10 blocks, huh? 10 blocks are going on. Ryan Smith, it's a big team. I said he might not be here at the end just because it's the biggest team, but here he is. So little do I know, that 4,200-pound team, 17-1 dance distance. We got Ryan and we got Joe. This could be for the first or second. You've been an excellent crowd so far, and we've just got another pull or 2 left possibly, so you've done a good job, and I appreciate that. The pullers appreciate that, and it looks like we're ready for Ryan Smith out of Clark, Missouri, with Carlson and Doc going east. Okay, let him hear it now. He's going to take him off. We're going to get a distance. He's still 13-2. Okay. 13 foot and 2 inches. For those of you keeping score right along with us, he wants the tractor. He's going to pick a spot out on the track. Position that sled just so where he thinks there might be a little bit of an advantage. Once in a while, if we have a mud problem and a road grader comes out here, he may get her a little slicker in one spot or the other, and they may kind of all tend to go to that same spot for the advantage. But this year, I don't see much advantage from one end to the other. It's all about the same. Looks like he wants her a little bit further east. And of course he can pick what direction he hooks on to. He's probably going to go to the west, kind of going to get it on that uphill side of the track, if there is one. And try to have that sled angled our direction on this side of the track just a little bit. Yeah, he wants that end pulled over. Yeah, that's a front wheel assist tractor. You can see it squat just a little bit. Not sure how many horsepower it would be. I didn't even notice the number on it, but I'm going to say it's at least 70 horse tractor, 80 horse tractor, somewhere in that neighborhood. More than 2. We're sure of that, aren't we, David? More than 2 horsepower. So here we go with Ryan Smith out of Clark, Missouri, Carlson and Doc. He's going to be going to the west. He needs to hear that whistle blow at 18 feet. Otherwise, we may have declared a winner here. We'll run down just in a little bit. Keep it real quiet. Not going to get her done, ladies and gentlemen. You're looking at this. No, I'm not. Yep. Oh, I guess 10 foot 11. We got to do a little tallying here. We got to do a little tallying. 10 foot 11. But we'll see here. Dan Gray had a longer distance, a going to say that Ryan was going to be second, but he's not. I think he's going to be maybe third. Dan could be second. We'll run down through this in a little bit.
Don't worry, I have all kinds of pictures.
The one thing we do know, Teresa's going to do a little bit of tabulation, if you will. But Joe, you might want to bring your team down here. We have decided one thing for sure, and that is that Joe Miller out of Park, Missouri, that's Pete and Prince, he is going to be the winner here. Congratulations to Joe Miller. Now we're going to go right on down. Second place is going to be Dan Gray, if you're keeping score. Second place will be Dan Gray. Third, you're followed by Ray Smith. Ray Smith in third place. Then Ryan Smith in fourth. Ryan Smith in fourth. Cody Gray comes in fifth place. J.W. Harris out of Kirksville in sixth place. Then we move on to David White in seventh, followed by Rusty Harris in eighth. Erlen Cooksley in ninth place. Then we have Clay Robinson in 10th. And bringing up there is Gary Moss in 11th place. Our rookie, if you will, from anyhow, first time here, kind of Atlanta, Missouri, coming in there on the bottom, but we appreciate him coming up. And Dan has, okay, the Horsemanship Award. That's going to go to Cody Gray. Cody Gray is the horsemanship. He gets the horsemanship award here today. So again, on behalf of Dan Winstrom, all his helpers, Midwest Old Settlers and Threshers Reunion, Teresa Gray for helping me out a lot up here doing the scorekeeping myself. My name's Jeff Hoyer. We're glad you all were with us this afternoon. Hope we can count on seeing you all back here next year. And everybody have a safe trip home, and we will be glad to see you next year at the 2014 Old Threshers Reunion and Horse Pull, always on Labor Day at 4 o'clock. Always on Labor Day at 4 o'clock. Good afternoon, everybody, and again, have a safe trip home.